Good day, everyone. Today is we will be talking about global migration.
So good day everyone. I am Ephemeran F. Vianas. I am the assigned leader of our group, which is the group 2. And our task is to report about the global migration. So global migration is a complex and dynamic phenomenon shaped by economic, political, social, and environmental factors. Leading scholars have analyzed migration trends, their causes, and their impacts on both sending and receiving countries. So when we think of migration, we aren't just talking about people moving from point E to point B. It is a fluid process driven by a powerful mix of push factors that force people to leave their homes and pull factors that attract them to new destination. Now, we will proceed to the theories and drivers of migration. First is Douglas S. Massey. Douglas S. Massey is a key figure in migration studies, known for the new economics of migration and the segmented labor market theory. He argues that migration is not just an individual choice, but a household strategy to diversify income and reduce risk. His work also explores how labor market structures in destination countries create demand for migrant workers, leading to sustained migration pattern. So Douglas argues that migration isn't just an individual choice. In the new economics of migration, households use migration to spread risk and secure income. His segmented labor market theory adds the destination countries create a steady demand for migrant workers through low status, low wage jobs. Together, this explains why migration continues through both household strategy and labor market structure. So Douglas argues that migration isn't just an individual choice. In the new economics of migration, households use migration to spread risk and secure income. His segmented labor market theory adds the destination countries create a steady demand for migrant workers through low status, low wage jobs. Together, this explains why migration continues through both household strategy and labor market structure.
Good day everyone. Today I will briefly discuss the push-pull theory of migration introduced by Everett S. Lee. According to this theory, people move from one place or country to another because of two main reasons, which is the push factors and the pull factors. Push factors are the problems or difficult situations in a person's home country that force them to leave. These may include poverty, unemployment, war, lack of education, low salary, or natural disasters. Because of these challenges, people look for a better life somewhere else. On the other hand, pull factors are the positive opportunities that attract people to another country. Examples are better jobs, higher salary, quality education, safety, political stability, and better healthcare. These factors give people hope for a more comfortable and successful future. This theory helps us understand why migration happens and why many people are willing to leave their homes to improve their lives and support their families. Thank you for listening.
So for today's video, I'm gonna tackle about the migration networks and transnationalism. There are two, which is the Alejandro Cortes and the Stephen Castle and Mark G. Miller. So for the Alejandro Cortes, transnationalism and migrant network, sociologist Alejandro Cortes shifted the migration discourse by focusing on transnationalism, the process by which immigrants build and maintain multi-stranded social, economic, and political relations that link their societies of origin and settlements together. And for the Stephen Castle and Mark G. Miller, the age of migration and globalization in their seminal work, Castles and Miller analyze migration through the lens of macro level globalization, arguing that modern population movements are fundamentally tied to global systems. For the conclusion, when combined, these These frameworks offer a complete picture of modern migration, while global economic forces and state policies, such as the Castle and Miller, create the structural demand and condition for displacement. It is the dense, resilient web of migrant networks and transnational practice. For the Portas is that actually facilitate the movement and sustain the lives of migrant across borders together. They demonstrate the migration in a defining permanent element of our interconnected world. Thank you.
Migration policy affects a country's economy and labor market. Giovanni Piri believes immigration benefits the economy because immigrants fill labor shortages, contribute to innovation, and help businesses grow. He argues that immigrants usually complement native workers instead of replacing them. Meanwhile, George Borjas has a more critical view. He believes that a large-scale immigration can lower wages for low-skilled native workers and increase competition for jobs. Overall, Perry focuses on the positive economic contributions of immigrants, while Borjas emphasizes the possible negative effects on low-skilled workers.
So let's tackle about forced migration and refugee movements. So forced migration refers to movement of people who are compelled to leave their homes or countries due to threats to their safety and rights and also their well-being. Unlike the voluntary migration, it also includes different groups like refugee, displaced persons, and asylum seekers. So there are four main causes of the forced migration and refugee movement. First one is the conflict and violence. So armed wars, political instability, and organized crime are leading causes affecting millions in regions like Syria, Ukraine, and Myanmar. The second one is the persecution or discrimination and violence of race, religion, politics, and the identity to force people to flee out of their countries. The third one is the environmental factors. Mostly natural disasters, droughts, floods, and long-term climate change makes areas uninhabitable and drive displacements. And the last one is the collapse of basic services. For example, failure to give people their needs about healthcare, education, and security systems, which pushes people to move out their countries. So there are 120 million people worldwide are currently forced to be displaced, with these numbers rising due to ongoing crisis. Most people first move to nearby areas or the neighboring countries. Some travel further, while others face risk of irregular journeys, exploitation, or detention. Displacement affects all regions, with major movements occurring in Africa, Middle East, Europe, and Asia. So there are also challenges in forced migration. So displaced people face risk to safety and protection, lacks access to food, water, shelter, and healthcare, and also the education. Uncertain legal status limits their rights and ability to work. Many suffer from loss of community, culture, and family separation. So the international response is the protection guided by the agreements like the 1951 Refugee Convention and the UNHCR and the IOM and humanitarian groups which provides aid and support. So there are three main solutions of the international response. First is the safe return to homes and countries. Second one is the local integration in homes, host nations, and resettlement to third countries. So there are insights which comes from two leading scholars, which is Saskia Sasan's perspectives, which she explains that global economic policies, conflicts, and climate change causes displacement. She also emphasizes that forced migration and refugee movements is closely linked to global inequalities and political instability. This shows that the systems and powers imbalances push people to flee other countries. Next is the Alexander Betts perspective. So he focuses on refugee protection and humanitarian response. So he points out that current international laws and frameworks are outdated and limited, and often of them fail to handle modern displacement crisis effectively. So this causes economic inequality and unfair global systems, conflict, violence and political instability, climate change and environmental destruction. And then the main challenges is the old rules that do not fit new problems, and then there are also uneven burden or poor host countries which lack of funding and support. So all in all, forced migration is a global issue rooted in equality and stability, not only in the Philippines but worldwide. So to solve it, we need fairer global systems, updated protection law, and better international cooperation, addressing both in the causes and response.